welcome back to my channel. So I'm sorry, I apologize, there's no intro for this video. The intro got cut out and I wanted to get this video up for you guys this week, and it kind of lines up with the rest of the content that I have for you guys, so I really wanted to get this up first. So we're just going to ignore the fact that there's no intro, but this video we're going to go ahead and go through my pre-market prep. So I'm going to go through the websites that I look at to build my watch list and how I build my watch list for the day and how I determine which stocks are going to be my main watch versus which stocks are going to be on the side watch for me. So I did make a video like this a little while ago, but I have updated my routine, so I'll go through that with you guys. The first site that I go to, and I think is the most important thing to pay attention to, it's called us.econoday. I'll list all of these sites below as well so you guys can see them, but this is the first site I go to. I also check this site on Sunday nights as well when I build my Sunday watch list. Basically, I'll look at, let's say tomorrow is Tuesday. We're building our watch list for tomorrow. So for Tuesday, I'll look at what specific economic data is coming out, what time it's coming out, and if we have any Fed speakers on the day. So tomorrow for economic data, we have consumer confidence at 10 a.m. and JOLTS at 10 a.m. So we probably will not see a move in the market until after 10 a.m. It could be a little bit choppy until we get this information. Market could anticipate obviously the economic data first prior to making a move. We also have a Fed member speaking tomorrow at 11 a.m., John Williams, so we have to keep that in mind as well. So overall, if the market doesn't move on the economic data at 10 a.m., we could potentially see some choppiness until after the Fed members speak. So I always look at this every single day and every week to kind of anticipate overall market as well. So what days that I plan on trading, what days I don't plan on trading. So especially if we have anything regarding the Fed or Jerome Powell speaking, if we have a lot of economic data coming out on a specific day, I will anticipate that market could potentially be choppy until that economic data comes out or until that Fed announcement is made. So the site is really important to pay attention to, so you are aware of the timeline for the week and you are aware of what days you should be sizing up, what days you should risk off, and so on and so forth. And this is the order that I go through to all of these websites in, so you guys can see. The second website I've mentioned plenty of times before. This is called MarketBeat, and I'll just type in Google MarketBeat analyst ratings and it'll come up to this page. And this shows you all of the analyst ratings for the day. So if a stock was upgraded, downgraded, if it had a price target increase or decrease, everything will be shown here. So usually what I'll do is I'll go through the ticker symbols. So what I'll usually do is I'll go through the ticker symbol over here, and I'll look at if any of these tickers are on my overall watch list. For example, Apple is on my overall watch list, and then I'll just work my way down here and see if any of these stocks that have been upgraded or downgraded or price target increases are on my watch list, and then I'll put them on my daily watch list as well. So just looking, it looks like Apple was the only one with a price target change that I have on my overall watch list. What you want to look for is a couple of things. So obviously the ticker, and then you want to pay attention to the action here. The action tells you what they did, whether they raised the price target, they upgraded it, downgraded it, lowered the price target, so on and so forth. The more important ones, if it's downgraded or upgraded, those are really important. And then obviously price target increases or decreases. Also, the brokerage that made the change is very important. If it's a bigger firm, for example, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, all of these are going to have more of an impact on the stock throughout the day versus some lower firms or smaller firms. So pay attention to the brokerage that made the change, and then you want to come over here, look at the price target and look at the rating. So you want to see what the price target change was and look at what the rating was. So this company, Aerie Pharmaceutical, was downgraded by Citigroup. So Citigroup previously had it at a buy rating. Now they downgraded it from a buy to a neutral, which is obviously a bad thing. They just want to hold it, or buy to a hold, and so on and so forth. So, or for example, this one, a hold to a buy. So this is a good rating. They upgraded it from hold to buy. They think it's a buy, so that's a good that's a good rating. So you guys can go ahead and Google what the ratings mean. It's usually pretty self-explanatory whether they upgraded or downgraded. You can see what the ratings mean through that as well. But this is very important to pay attention to whenever a stock does have a price target increase or a change in the analyst rating. It does tend to move. So pay attention to that. Then the third site that I will go to is CNBC. Now with CNBC, this is the only site that I actually use the app. I think the app is really great to get overall news, any market movers, overall market sentiment before a market opens. So it'll tell you if futures moved, the Dow moved, if the NASDAQ or S&P moved as well. They'll tell you how much they moved, if a specific stock had earnings that moved the markets. It'll tell you all of that. So what you want to do is come over to markets and just hit the markets button, and it'll pull up this page for you, and it'll show you kind of everything. So the major indexes in the US, Asia, China, whatever you want to pay attention to, you can go ahead and look. It'll show you crypto as well. I just keep it on the major indexes in the US. And then I'll come down and see if there's any specific news on a specific stock that I should be paying attention to. Usually I'll come and scroll down to trending now and see what's going on in these articles, if any of the stocks on my watch list are mentioned here. Usually what you'll see on the app is just the America's markets, and it'll have how the NASDAQ, S&P, and the Dow are doing in the morning. It'll have its top 5 movers or the top movers for the day pre-market. And it'll show you what stocks have moved, if they reported earnings, and that's why they moved. It has a lot of great articles that you can look at in the morning to kind of gain an understanding of what's going on and what happened after hours and in the pre-market. So this is a really, really great site. It's my favorite site to look at for news on overall market and then individual stocks as well. It will have news on as well. It also posts all of the economic data. So if there's economic data that's supposed to come out in the morning or pre-market or during the market hours, CNBC always posts it pretty live. So it's a great place to go as well. So the next site that I have is Benzinga Pro. So Benzinga Pro, I actually keep up on my main screens. It's in the top left corner. The only reason I like to keep Benzinga Pro up is because it has news articles coming out constantly. If the Fed is speaking, if Powell is speaking, it'll tell you exactly what Powell is saying literally instantly, and I like to keep it up just so I can see all of the news. This is the only paid for subscription that I have. I'll link it down below if you guys want to take a look into it. You can edit a bunch of different stuff, look at the overall calendar, you can change your workspace, just the workspace that I have. And then over here you can filter out whatever symbols that you want. If you want just to see your watch list, only to see options activity in your watch list only. So I have Tesla, Amazon, Google, Meta, pretty much all of the FANG sector, FANG stocks, and SPY as well. It'll show you all of the options activity under those tickers as well. And then over here, you can search by symbol or keyword as well. So this is a really good site to get instant market information, instant market data. And it's very helpful if you kind of struggle to, or you don't want to look at multiple different sites. This is a great site that has all in one. The only thing is it is a paid for subscription. So you can definitely find this information everywhere else that I've showed you. But if you'd like it all in one and you'd like it to keep it up on your screen, Benzinga Pro is a great one as well. The next thing is, if you don't want to sign up for Benzinga Pro, there are some good sites to look at on Twitter. So the first page that I do recommend is Earnings Whispers. This shows you the earnings for the week, the month. They give you kind of a breakdown of the company. So I always look at this page as well during earnings season to pay attention to obviously what earnings are coming out that week. They always post it on Sunday so you guys can see all of the earnings for the week and anticipate what stocks to keep on watch for the week. So if the stock does have earnings for that week, or if it has earnings after open or after close, I do pay attention and keep the stock on my watch list until it reports earnings, and sometimes even after. So this is a really, 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 really great page on Twitter to keep in mind. You can also watch CNBC on Twitter. It posts everything instantly. So any economic data or anything that comes out, you can have them up as well. And then the last one that I like to watch is called Financial Juice. This is breaking market news. Obviously, that's right there. and they post just that, breaking market news, anything that happens with Powell, anything that happens with Biden, anything that happens with economic data that has come out, they post it instantly. So if you don't want to sign up for Benzinga Pro, you can follow these sites on Twitter and just have them up, have your Twitter up on your screen and be able to see this information as it comes through. So great options on both sides. These are really great sites on Twitter, or pages on Twitter to follow. If you're obviously not good at searching your own information, which sometimes during market hours you're just not able to. So it's easier to kind of just see someone else feeding that information and being able to just get it instantaneously. These are great sites to watch. Once I have like all of the stocks that I'm going to watch, how I kind of break it down is the ticker and then why I have it on watch, the catalyst behind it. And then I'll just look at obviously where futures are at and determine what levels futures needs to break for me to be able to take an entry on any of these stocks. After I obviously put each one of them on my overall watch list with their catalyst, I then go and look at the stock itself and see which ones have the highest probability setups. And what I mean by that is wick fills, gap fills. They are my top highest probability setups that I like to trade. I will always pick a stock that has a gap or a wick to fill over anything else, especially if I've traded it before and I'm comfortable with trading it. Anything else comes after if it has a significant level that it's breaking, a psychological level, a demand zone, a supply zone that it's approaching. I will pay attention to that stock as well, because it could potentially break out or break below demand or above supply and be able to make a nice move up or down. So you want to pay attention to that as well. So say for example, like you have Netflix on watch, what I'll do is I'll pull up the stock. Whoops. And I'll go in immediately to the 15-minute time frame. And based on what I see in the 15-minute time frame, so for Netflix specifically, if we were looking at it for today, this is what you would see on the 15-minute time frame prior to open. So the pre-market low on Netflix was 219.85, and then I do have a strong level of resistance on Netflix at 230. So if I were to take Netflix, if I were to take Netflix, I would take it above pre-market high, which is 223. And then below pre-market low, which is 219. And I would come down to 219. I wouldn't take the 219.85. I always round down or round up. If it's a 0.50 or 0.80 level, I always round up or round down. So the pre-market high is 223. The pre-market low is 219 here on Netflix. So that would be my initial levels for entry on Netflix. Then let's say I put Tesla on watch. Tesla was a good one today. So if we just look at what you would have seen today, since Tesla was on my watch, Tesla had a wick to fill. So right here you can see Tesla had this wick. So I'll kind of zoom in to where the wick starts. And the wick starts at 284. So my initial level for entry on Tesla would be above 284 for it to fill the wick to 288. And then on the downside, the pre-market low is 280. So I would watch Tesla below 280 for puts, above 284 for calls to fill the wick up. And like I said, below 280 for puts to the downside. And then whatever my next levels or my next targets are on Tesla. I can make a video on how I set my price targets as well, if you guys would like, how I set my day trading price targets and how I set my scalping price targets. That can be in a separate video because it would take some time, but I can definitely make that video as well. So that's how I determine my initial levels for entry, so you guys can see like Netflix, and that's exactly how I said it today. Netflix calls above 223, puts below 218. Tesla calls above 284, puts below 280. And then depending on what other stocks I'm watching, same concept. I always go to the 15-minute time frame first. If I'm not able to kind of gauge anything properly on the 15-minute, I'll go to a higher time frame and so on and so forth. I don't like to gauge anything on a smaller time frame like the 5 or 1 minute. I always like to do it on the 15-minute because it kind of gives you an overall view of the stock, and then it gives you more significant levels, and then per se the 5 or 1 minute time frame. So you always want to set your initial levels for entry on the 15-minute or higher, because they're going to give you more significant levels of support and resistance to be able to take. And if you set it on the 5 or 1, you could potentially get faked out. The only stock or ticker that I wait for it to open is always SPX, because sometimes it gaps up or gaps down. So I always wait for SPX to open prior to setting my initial levels of entry, just because I want to see where the gap fill starts. And sometimes I'll take the gap fill. Most of the time I take the gap fill, whether it gaps up or down. So I always like to wait for SPX to open prior to me setting my initial levels for entry. And that's it, guys. That's how I build my daily watch list. Every single day, this is the same process that I do every single day, every single week. On a weekly basis on Sundays, I go through the stocks that I'm watching. Actually, on Sundays, I go through my entire watch list. Still look at the us.econoday site. Go on my entire watch list, and I'll look at the stocks, the main stocks that I usually like to watch, and I'll look at higher time frames. So the 3-year, daily, and 4-hour time frames, and I chart the stock on those time frames. And then depending what those time frames are telling me, I'll determine whether I'm going to keep that stock on watch for the week or not. So always on the higher time frames when you're planning your weekly trades, and then on a day-to-day basis, the 15-minute time frame is a great way to determine initial levels of entry and exit. All right, guys, so hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.